Hey guys, my name is Nogan and welcome to my C++ series. Today we will focus on control structures again, but speaking about the different type of control structures, which is a switch statement, as you'll see in a moment. Now, as you can see here in our source code, we have a similar program as the last episode, where we focus on one-way selection structures and also when you focus on two-way selection structures, we have like two conditions, which is if and else if statements. Now today we have to focus on trying to convert this if statements into a switch structure where we can minimize having this lot of blocks of code here, only having like a sequential type of system where we can use based on similar conditions as you can see here. Now a switch structure in C++. Recall that there are two selections as I mentioned before, structure in C++. The first selection structure is which is implemented with an if, as you can see here, and also an else if, as you can see with this one. Usually requires the evolution of a logical expression, as you can see. The logical expression is this condition is in this brackets, which means their conditions has to be evaluated to true or false. Same applies to a switch statement. Now a switch, if I minimize this, switch has four keywords. The first one is switch, the second is case, break, and also default. These are keywords also used in C++, but now these are used in combination with switch. Now the syntax for switch is switch. Now in this switch on, as you can see here, a keyword by default, we have to put in our, you can see our condition. Our condition will be test score because we have to convert our test score in the if statement into a switch structure. So test score is our condition in the switch statement. Now case is the evaluation stage, which means case is the first expression is needs to be evaluated, the first value of our switch conditions, which means in this case we'll have switch case 100, which is like the highest mark for the student. And based on our condition before, the first condition of if is if the test score is less than or equal to 90 and test score is greater than 100, which means there were two conditions in the first if statement in the previous video as you saw, which means we have two case statements here, 100 and also 90. We have the same output statement where the student will receive a message for his grade mark. CA get destination. Awesome. Let's copy this. Okay. And remember, after each case you have to include a break, which means where the compiler will break after these conditions that have been checked by the evaluation state here. If they're true, then the statement will print out, then it's in a break and exit out this switch structure. So after that, I have a case 80, case 70. Paste this, change this to be passed. Break case 60, also 50. Okay, because here we're supposed to, let's make it 90 as the previous one, and also 80 let it be. Because now the thing is, as you can see guys, here we have it's almost like an error because this case label has been eventually been declared before. That's why we have to make sure that now we only declare the ones that haven't been declared as of yet, which is these ones. And again, another side note, let me just make this to C and also passed. Let's say break default will be CR message subject. Awesome. Another side note, guys, as you can see here, if the student enters, for example, 91 as his test score, and 91 cannot be evaluated by these conditions, is an execute to this default statement where it's going to say failed subject, which is not what we want, because let's say, for example, let's say, for example, let's run the program to test it. Awesome. Let's say, for example, the student got 91%, his test mark. If you press enter, you see failed subject, which means the condition based on the evaluation expressions here, because 91 has, there's no case for 91, which even based on what we're seeing, there needs to be like a expression where this condition needs to be evaluated in these two case statements here of 190. But based on the value, because 91 in some understanding is there, but now because these are only whole numbers and this test score only can evaluate whole numbers that has to be inputted by the student. If he inputs 91 and the 91 is not even in a case statement, is going to be evaluated as false, as you can see. So what you can do, you can eventually declare by saying case 91, case 92, case 93, case 4, case 95, and so on and so forth, in the same line of code as conditions, which could be functional, as you can see. But again, if you look at this, the source code looks messy and a lot of it's too long, because if you have it like this, it's better to use a if statement than use a case, because case only can be used in certain conditions. Because if you run a program now with the same condition, which means where the student got 91, okay, got 91, let's test it again now. Okay, as you can see, grade mark is a distinction, on point, awesome. Okay, for now you can see the program is working properly, but the thing is, if you look at like I mentioned before, the case is, the conditions have to be in a single line of code, which is fine, but now it's gonna be messy. Just imagine if you have to eventually for case 80 also include case 81 and so on and so forth. It's functional, but it looks messy because it doesn't look proper, and the code will be difficult to read because it's so long and disfigured. That's why some instances case can only be used in some instance where it's much more functional. For example, as you can, let's say for example here we gonna say we're gonna ask a user to input, let's declare another variable, int money. We're gonna ask the user now here, but instead of saying test score, ask him to input enter like his withdrawal amount. Withdraw. Let's say money. Let's change this to money. Just change these. Say case if he 200, say cash withdrawal. Let me copy this. also include break afterwards. Don't forget to include break. And say case 300. Paste this 300. Break case 500. Paste this 500 and also break again. Case 1005. Paste. Also the last case need to break before. As you can see, guys, now if using a switch control structure with a specified amount, it is much more functional. Say 2000. See, copy paste this one more time. Awesome. Let's see here. Insufficient found. Here's our insufficient. Awesome. Okay, as you can see, guys, now it becomes much more functional if you're using a case. That's why in the ATM systems you will see in the backend programming now, this will be like what the program does in the ATM system, where this will be now the eventually output the message where will be displayed by the user. So if the user now comes to the ATM system, let's run our program so we can just see the similarity. Awesome. Enter your dollar amount. Like for example, I want to withdraw a specified amount, because those messages will display outside where the user has a selection, like has to choose between 200 until 2000, the dollar amount in the monitor. For example, I want to withdraw 500, which is a specified amount based on the monitor. If I enter 500 now, I can withdraw 500 because the amount is specified based on the conditions that's been given. As you can see, that's why 500 was executed. So a switch statement is much more functional when using it now in a specified setting, where, like for example, here you can see the values are specified in the on point. So you can use a switch statement here instead of like trying to convert based on test score. The test score is much more general because the values start from 1 until 100, which means they change based on the condition where the student has to include a test score. But now if you're using it now here in terms of where you can use it with switch in terms of money, for example like an ATM system, it becomes much more functional, as you can see in this instant. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe to my channel, click on the bell notification, then we see the repost on my channel.